and good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to This Is Now. First today, Kauai's police chief held a press conference detailing the 9-day manhunt for murder suspect Chris Santos.
Chief Todd Raybuck said late Sunday, law enforcement officers encountered the 48-year-old near Kekaha Beach Park on the island's west side.
Santos was operating a stolen Jeep Cherokee. Upon seeing the arriving units, Mr. Santos began to drive dangerously and erratically in the direction of law enforcement. At one point, one of the tactical team members had to take an evasive measure to ensure that Mr. Santos did not engage with their vehicle. At a last minute, the Jeep Cherokee veered off the side of the road and struck a light pole. It was at this time that members of the U.S. Marshals tactical team exited the vehicle, and Mr. Santos was subsequently taken into custody. During the engagement, Mr. Santos received at least one gunshot wound. He was transported to Wilcox Hospital for treatment, where he currently remains. It's expected he'll be released in the next 3 to 4 days and transferred to the Hawaii State Department of Corrections. A female passenger was removed safely from the vehicle, and she has been released. KPD has taken the lead in investigating the officer-involved shooting, and that investigation is ongoing. We also continue to conduct the investigation on the murder and attempted murder, and we continue to follow up on all leads and all information that we have for any individual that supported Mr. Santos, in his ability to elude capture for 9 days.
Now, more than 100 law enforcement personnel from multiple agencies, including KPD, the FBI, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the State Land Department, were involved in the manhunt. Chief Raybuck says Santos's criminal history dates back to 1994. We'll have more details on that online and on later editions of Hawaii News Now.
Let's go ahead now and take a look at some of your other top stories, including vandalism at a site for Hawaii's ali'i. Someone damaged the decorative fence at Mauna Ala, the royal mausoleum located in Nu'uanu. Several kalo fleur-de-lis adornments were cut off or bent. One of them still had a wrench clamped onto it when a passerby snapped a picture. The state monument is the burial place of Hawaiian royalty, including members of the Kamehameha and Kalakaua dynasties.
It's hurtful to my heart to know that someone would deliberately try to vandalize any part of Mauna Ala. And I say deliberately because when you look at it and touch it, it's a clean cut, which means that it just wasn't some random person trying to pass by and do this. This was somebody who intentionally did it.
We've reached out to Honolulu Police for more information on the act of vandalism and are waiting to hear back. Now to a story only on Hawaii News Now. Presentations about kupuna fraud by the Honolulu Prosecutor's Office could put a high-profile murder case in jeopardy. Our chief investigative reporter Lynn Kawano explains.
The attorney for Juan Tejedor Baron says deputy prosecutors have been showing the public crime scene photos and other pieces of evidence, potentially tainting the jury pool.
Where, in fact, the prosecutor is discussing the facts of the case and then displaying photographs that have never been permitted by the court to be publicly displayed. The consequences are huge.
Attorney Miles Briner represents Juan Tejedor Baron, the man accused of killing Gary Ruby, then encasing his body in concrete in the bathtub of his Hawaii Lower Ridge home. Ruby was 73 years old when Baron, then 23, became romantically involved, then allegedly stole from him. Ruby's age is the reason the case is being handled by the Elder Crimes Unit of the Honolulu Prosecutor's Office. The motion to dismiss the case names the head of that unit, saying presentations to various community groups to educate people about kupuna crimes included photos and documents that have not been made public, like a picture HPD took of the bathtub in which Ruby's body was discovered.
The problem is that they are actually presenting evidence that is involved in an active case. That all is confidential information The defense is not allowed to share it with anybody, and there's absolutely no reason for the prosecution to be sharing it with the public.
And these are all potential jurors. These are the people that generally end up in jury pools because they're retired.
The motion calls for the case to be dismissed or the Attorney General's office to take over, which could cause delays.
Given the clear violation of the rules of professional conduct, that's a basis to disqualify the prosecutor's office. Now, that raises another problem because the Attorney General's office may require additional time to prepare.
The Honolulu prosecutor's office declined our request for an interview. Multiple employees will be called to testify at the next court hearing, and the office said the matter will be addressed then. The next court hearing is set for October 24th. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Maui police released the names of 5 more victims of the wildfire disaster. 81-year-old Revelina Tombach, 74-year-old Morris Kaita, 88-year-old Richard Cam, 69-year-old Linda Vaikeli, and 64-year-old Rex Cole. All were from Lahaina. The death toll remains at 97 lives lost.
A Lahaina fire victim says he and his new neighbors in temporary housing are being forced to move. Charles Nahale lived in a family compound on Front Street, which was destroyed in the wildfire. Nahale recently got a letter from Soleil Management, which runs Sands of Kahana Resort. That's where he's been staying since the fire. It said, unfortunately, some of the units at Sands of Kahana, including your unit, will no longer be available after September 30th. Nahale says so far he hasn't been able to find alternative housing.
I guess it's to make room for guests, tourists or guests, which kind of upsets me because all of us in this at this shelter have to leave. Everybody. There's a lot of people here. And so we're all scrambling to try to find another place.
The company's website also says, quote, with services and amenities slowly returning to our West Maui resort, we are gradually welcoming back reservations in October per the governor's instruction. It's unclear how many people have received the notices so far. And in a statement, the American Red Cross said, quote, there will be a point where hotel consolidations will occur, which means some people will be relocated. We will communicate all changes and expectations with the survivors and do our best to ensure the least amount of disruption to people's lives as possible.
Governor Josh Green was on CBS this morning today. He's in New York to talk about climate change at the United Nations. Now, he was asked about lessons learned in West Maui, as well as the reopening that's happening there in a couple weeks.
Your message to the rest of America, the rest of the world that is interested in revisiting, going to Maui, going to Lahaina, which will reopen on October 8th. Should they come?
They should. It is a difficult call, but when people come to Maui, in this case even West Maui, on October 8th or the weeks and months thereafter, you will be helping our people heal. Everyone has to brace themselves globally for these kind of challenges, and we have to prepare better. But part of Hawaii is it gives kind of a sense of hope to the world because everyone has this experience one time or another in their lives, which was their honeymoon or something central to them. So if you can help us heal, we would be honored after October 8th if you could come to Hawaii and really help fortify us because this has been a very tough time.
We've heard from those in West Maui who say it's too soon to bring back tourists, while many people who have lost their homes still don't have a clear path to recovery. Others, even business owners who also lost their homes, say they need to get back to work. Do you know how your Maui wildfire donations are being spent? A leading lawmaker is asking the state attorney general to crack down on fraud. House Speaker Scott Saiki wants the governor to sign an emergency proclamation forcing fundraisers to disclose how the money will be used. The most recent controversy is the Maui Community Power Recovery Fund, run in part by former Maui State Representative Kaniela Ing. Critics say the nonprofit should disclose that donations could end up funding political campaigns.
The money that's being raised through this website, at least the one I looked at, can be spent on other than charitable causes. For example, on other than disaster relief. It can be spent on lobbying activity and supporting or opposing candidates for office.
I'm not getting a dime off of this. We want to make sure that they're empowered
Ng says his fund has raised at least $650,000 and admits that money could be used to support political candidates who want to help Lahaina rebuild in a way that represents the community. He says about a quarter of the money raised has been spent. About 75% was direct aid to residents, and the rest paid for things like signs, shirts, and banners. Ng says any donors who aren't comfortable with how the money might be used can request a refund on actblue.com.
Now to news across the nation. Searchers announced Monday that they have found parts of a missing stealth fighter jet that crashed near Charleston, South Carolina on Sunday. The local sheriff's office would not say where some of the parts were found. Authorities launched a massive search for the F-35 jet after it crashed. The pilot ejected, and first responders took the pilot to a hospital in stable condition. It's not known if the missing plane caused any damage or injured anyone on the ground. The military is investigating what happened. Meanwhile, Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace of South Carolina represents the region. Earlier on Monday was quick to criticize the military's response. She said local leaders complained to her about a lack of transparency and a lack of information after the $80 million plane went down.
President Biden and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky made their case on the world stage to continue supporting Ukraine in its efforts in its war against Russia. Now, the speeches at the United Nations General Assembly comes as the world grows weary of the war, and some U.S. lawmakers are questioning whether to continue funding Ukraine's efforts. Michael George has more.
Russia alone bears responsibility for this war.
President Biden is vowing unconditional support for Ukraine.
The United States, together with our allies and partners around the world, will continue to stand with the brave people of Ukraine as they defend their sovereignty and territorial integrity and their freedom.
In his speech to the United Nations General Assembly, the president touched on a wide range of subjects, from climate change to the tense relationship between the U.S. and China.
We seek to responsibly manage the competition between our countries so it does not tip into conflict.
For the first time since Russia's invasion, Ukraine's president appeared in person in front of the gathering of world leaders, trying to rally support as nations grow weary of the conflict. Volodymyr Zelensky argued that unless Russia is stopped, its aggression won't end with Ukraine.
Look, for the first time in modern history, we have a real chance to end the aggression on the terms of the nation which was attacked.
Zelensky is set to visit the White House and Capitol Hill later this week as Congress weighs President Biden's request for an additional $24 billion in aid. Some in the Republican Party are questioning whether it makes sense to continue funding the Ukrainian effort. Michael George, CBS News, the United Nations.
All right, here's a live look outside. This is downtown Los Angeles on this Aloha Tuesday. Guy Hoggy's going to have our forecast here at home after a quick break.
How's it on this Tuesday? Our weather's looking good for the rest of the week. We do have some high clouds up and over the state, but we are still cyclone free here in the Central Pacific. We are keeping tabs on a developing disturbance in the East Pacific. It's over 2,000 miles away. There's a high likelihood that it becomes a tropical depression, but long-range forecasts say it will not impact our weather. Now, this morning we have a few showers out there, mainly for a handful of windward spots. There's not a lot of rain, although with those trade winds blowing, we'll likely see more overnight and early morning showers favoring those windward areas. And whatever rain comes in will be moving out quickly, limiting the rainfall buildup, and that's because of those breezy winds. So we've got a kind of semi-breezy day today. Lots of sunshine expected after the morning showers dry up. High temperatures running to about 90 degrees, but it's going to feel cooler because of those nice steady winds. And because of those winds, it's still going to be choppy over on the east side. A small pulse is due in tonight for South Shore, so that's going to keep the fun going for all the town surfers. So we've got a nice long run all the way through Saturday with those breezy winds. Very little rainfall, if anything, with a few overnight showers for those windward and Mauka areas into the early morning. Lots of leeward sunshine. High temperatures running to near 90. Great way to start the fall season, which officially kicks off on Saturday.
Thank you so much for that forecast, Guy. Well, fall is quickly approaching, and it hasn't yet officially started, but many people are already thinking about their holiday shopping. Michael George explains why.
It's still t-shirt weather, but the Christmas Cottage is open for business in Manhattan, giving shoppers a jump on the holidays. And they're not alone. A survey from Bankrate finds 12% of Americans are buying gifts this month, and another 12% already started in August. Shopping early does have benefits, according to Bankrate's Ted Rossman.
In terms of spreading out your cash flow, giving you more time to research the best deals.
But most Americans plan to wait until October or later.
Unless there's something specific that I'm trying to get, and then I just might just keep an eye out for it.
It's September, a little early to start thinking about holiday shopping.
A lot early.
About 1 in 4 people plan to do most of their shopping in stores, but the majority are doing the bulk of their buying online, and they'll be searching for deals.
In recent years, major retailers like Amazon and Target and Walmart, they often roll out Black Friday type pricing in early October.
And 33% expect inflation to influence their shopping. 23% anticipate a strain on their budget, and 13% feel pressure to spend more than they're comfortable with. Dale Stenberg plans to stick to a budget.
They'll only get what the kids really want, otherwise it's a waste.
And others plan to be frugal.
We found that about 4 in 10 say that they're just simply going to buy less stuff. So that's kind of the ultimate holiday savings tip.
Another tip, avoid carrying a balance on credit cards, because right now interest rates are over 20%. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
We want to go back to Maui now, where relief efforts are continuing for families and students impacted by the wildfires. Now, today, the University of Hawaii made a surprise announcement to Lahaina High School seniors.
All that you have gone through, some of you have lost homes, family members, your parents have lost jobs. I know it's a really difficult time. And what we want to do at the University of Hawaii is make sure that you have the opportunity to go to college. We are offering every one of you Lahaina Luna seniors, including those who made other arrangements after August 8th, a full scholarship to any UH campus to which you are admitted.
That's UH President David Lassner announcing that the University of Hawaii is offering full scholarships to every Lahaina Luna High School senior. The scholarships will cover tuition, fees, books, and supplies for full-time and part-time students at any of UH's 10 campuses. This initially covers 1 academic year for the Lahaina Luna class of 2024, and UH is working to get more funding to extend the scholarships. Lahaina Luna's senior class has about 190 students who are now temporarily located at Kulani Hako'i High.
Hundreds of brand new bicycles for Maui wildfire survivors need assembling. Our Jim Mendoza tells us who's looking for help putting them together.
Soon after the wildfires burned through Lahaina and other parts of Maui, Aaron Reichert, the owner of Crank Cycles, received messages from Schwinn and Mongoose Bicycles. The top manufacturers offered to donate bikes to Maui families who had lost everything.
They approached us and said, anything you need, and I said, well, send me bikes.
They sent 400 of them.
Wow. That's what's up.
Dude. Last week, the container loaded with the new bicycles arrived on Maui after Reichert raised the money to pay for the shipping. And soon, the bikes will be in the hands of families whose lives were turned upside down by the devastation.
We feel that's the drive, is to get kids on bikes first, and whatever else adults we can do, we will do secondary.
Another drive is being spearheaded by Hawaii Bicycling League and Maui Bicycling League to collect and distribute donations of used bicycles that are in good working condition.
There's certainly a transportation need. A lot of individuals lost their vehicles, lost their bikes in these fires. We would take that donation. We're working with several bike shops, both on Oahu and our other neighbor island partners, to get those donated bikes into the hands of people that could really use them.
HBL has a list of bike shops on its website that are helping its Bicycles for Maui drive. And Crank Cycles' website has information on how people can help with its ongoing efforts. Reichert is known on Maui for Crank Cycles' annual Christmas giveaways of bicycles to families that can't afford them, and for community events where his team refurbishes bicycles for free.
Through the word of that and our other connections, like with Kona Bicycles, they're sending us bikes also. For the most part, it's going to be well over 220 bikes coming for that.
Crank Cycles needs volunteers to help put together the 400 bicycles Schwinn and Mongoose sent. Assembly Day is set for Saturday, September 23rd at 9 a.m. at the West Maui Construction Warehouse in Ma'alaya.
And we'll have technicians coming out and then safety checking each one of these to make sure they're very safe for the participants receiving them.
Reichert is hoping for a big turnout of helpers. Bring your tools and a tent for shade if you have them, but come and help even if you don't.
We just want to make sure we can just hammer this, because the faster we get these bikes done, the faster they get in the hands of these kids. And, it's just going to bring joy. It's going to bring a lot of joy in this pretty dark time.
I'm Jim Mendoza for Hawaii News Now.
All right, 3 girls went viral recently after hijinks involving a hair emergency. Jeannie Moose explains.
When your little sister comes asking for scissors.
For what? Something. Just something. Be careful.
Should have cut her off. Valentina Zamaripa of Mission, Texas, was doing her video blog.
Denise, come right here. Come here. I told you right here.
And thus began an almost 6-minute TikTok that commenters described as literally a coming-of-age movie. They tried to keep Mom in the dark.
Tomorrow's right. Nothing.
The smiling scissor wielder surrendered a lock of hair.
Why are you laughing? I told you not to do anything stupid.
So Valentina did something smart, asking her smartphone
How to cut and bake.
Her smirky 3-year-old sister threatened to tattle.
Whoa, you're in trouble.
So her sisters jumped her, and Valentina offered a bribe for her silence.
I'll give you a cookie.
15-year-old Valentina valiantly tried to fix the damage.
Oh my God.
While 8-year-old Camellia fretted.
What have you done to my life? Well, that's cute. You look like Hermione from Harry Potter.
Mom kept coming back.
Get knife. No.
If someone misbehaves, they all risk losing their wireless.
If one goes down, we all go down. Because my mom has always taught us to stick together.
They hid the evidence. The lock of hair ended up in the trash, even though.
I wanted to sell it because I'm a celebrity. I'm famous. Oh.
And then there was the finger pointing.
Whose idea was that? Valentina. Camelia.
At each other. But you really turned on your big sister.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you do that?
And Mom raised the specter of Dad.
Go show your dad. pray for them.
No need. Dad said the bangs looked great. Crisis averted at school picture day. What started with bangs ended with a whimper.
It looks pretty. I don't think she'll mind.
Jeannie Mose, CNN.
Oh,
New
boy.
York.
Oh boy, sisters being sisters.
Cute.
Really quickly, we want to give you some breaking news just into our newsroom. UH President David Lassner has just announced his retirement. He plans to retire at the end of 2024. This news coming into our newsroom just a few minutes ago. Our web team is working on getting that story onto our website and mobile platforms. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great afternoon.
Aloha.